the first live interview I did and how they picked a fight with me in the dark before the cameras went on.
Alrighty. Hi everyone, I'm Eshaan Mani, a kid's first film critic from Houston, Texas. Today, I'll be speaking with the talented Kenn Viselman, executive producer and showrunner of the family TV series MeteoHeroes, which has its US premiere at the University of Hawaii Kids First Film Festival. The show is currently on air in Italy, plus over 140 countries, dubbed in 20 languages. Mr. Viselman is also the producing partner behind the Teletubbies in the Western Hemisphere. He's credited as the genius behind the commercial success of Thomas the Tank Engine and the driving force behind the rebirth of kids' classics Eloise and Noddy. Thank you so much, Mr. Viselman, for visiting with me today.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. Eshaan, call me Ken or Kenny, right? My grandfather was Mr. Viselman.
All right. So, Ken, let's jump into it.
Okay.
First, why do you believe that a show like MeteoHeroes is important for family audiences and Hawaiian audiences in particular?
Let me start with this. So just if I start looking at screens or devices, it's because Margarita Rita and the MeteoHeroes are watching and they're ready as well. Okay.
All right.
So if I get stumbled, I'm here for them. They're here for me, right? We're a team. So there's that. But here's the thing. The honest answer is I don't think there is another kids show like MeteoHeroes, which is why it was so important for me to do this, right? And I've been making kids shows for a really long time, but most kids shows come out of some adult's idea of what a kid wants to watch. MeteoHeroes is really based in a need of what's going on in the world. It's based in real world things, and it's I saw a study not that long ago that 45% of all the kids tested, and there were about 10,000 children across the globe, 45% of them were experiencing either high or extremely high levels of climate anxiety, and that number is staggeringly increasing. The children feel like they need to clean up the mess that their adults made in their lives, right? Whether they live in Hawaii or they live in Singapore, what we're now finding is that this show was designed to give children hope that they can be part of the solution and not a continuation of the problem. So I don't think there is another show like it. And that's part of what makes me so excited about doing it.
It is a very unique show. I mean, I've had a chance to check out a few episodes, and certainly, and I mean, the one we're screening at the festival itself, which actually takes place in the Pacific, is so special and so wonderful. So, how did you become involved in Meteor Heroes, and what was your initial vision for it?
I've been involved with the series almost from its beginning, right? I was aware of the show very early on and what they were intending to do with it. So I'm just checking to see if they're asking me anything at the same time. And the thing that drew me particularly to it is that it's basically real life. We've added, characters into a real life world, right? Sasso exists, everything exists, but in this particular case, the idea that you could tell a child or their families, you don't need to wear a cape to be a superhero, and that you can make enough of a difference to change the world and save the planet. And I don't know of another message that could possibly be more important than that right now.
Absolutely. And has the show changed in any way since you first became involved with it?
Not as far as not from what you can see up to this moment, right? The vision for this show was so brilliant, and I really, really, really admire the people I'm working with, which is a rarity, right? The way that they develop characters with such depth and that aren't just like a one-dimensional, oh, this character only does this, was super exciting to me. But what we're doing is for America and for North America, and then maybe even beyond, we have plans on expanding the series beyond the 7-minute or the 11-minute episode to something super exciting. So we're in the throes of that right now.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
And tell me more about that team. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, and mysterious, right?
Oh, it is. Yeah, I know. I like the cliffhanger you've left me on right there.
I've got to leave that in there, or there's half the fun is gone, right?
Right. So I was just gonna say, tell me a little bit more about that team which you were just talking about, because it started with a team in Italy, and you're based in the U.S. So what's your experience been like collaborating with the Italian team?
Well, let me kind of make it a bit more honest, I think.
Sure.
So 100%, there's a very, very smart and brilliant team of Italians that are behind this, just from even the design, the visual look and feel of the characters and the animation. But, they're the meteorologists that are attached to the show are global. Meteorology is a global event. And so some are Italian, but they come from a bunch of places. And there are people from all over the place, from all over the globe, are attached to the series. And yeah, I'm probably the one lone American at the moment, at least whose face is in front of this. But it's a global effort, and that's super important to us, that what we're creating is an international television series and not an Italian series that's been sold into other countries. It's the if there's one issue in the world right now that every child, no matter who they are or where they live or whether they're rich, poor, or whatever, they know that climate change is real, and they are looking for answers as to how to move forward. They're looking for hope, and I think this show, if nothing else, gives hope to kids to say there is a possibility that we can get out of this.
Definitely. I mean, I spoke with Mr. Latini, and
Yeah.
his message was just that, regardless of how divided, we are across continents, across, in whatever beliefs we might have, one thing that we can all agree on, or I suppose one thing that we all have in common is that, we all love our environment and we all love, what surrounds us. And so, we should all care for that. So, yeah, I love that message. And certainly, I think the fact that it's a global effort also really exemplifies that, that we're all working together, we're all in this together, like the High School Musical line goes.
That's exactly. But let me just share something with you, that when COVID started, making and selling television shows became a very big challenge, significantly more than some other industries were experiencing, right? Because of the collaboration that's attached to it. This show is so important, so meaningful, that 140 countries bought into this series within the first year. And I've been on a lot of shows. I've worked in maybe as many as 50 of them in different ways. I've never seen and never heard of a show getting a response the way this series has, and it's something to be incredibly proud of, I think.
Certainly. Wow, 140 within the first year. That's got to be a record.
I don't know if it is, but it deserves to be. Do you know what I'm saying?
I'm sure.
I'm sure it's a record in a pandemic, if we,
Oh, yeah.
you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm very, very proud of this team.
So, talking more about the collaboration, how did the team decide what climate issues to cover and the order in which they were covered on the show?
I don't know that it worked like that, right? I think what happened is that we understand that if there's a climate issue in one part of the world, it impacts every other part of the world as well. And what was important to us is that we started showing different parts of the world experiencing stuff, so we could all go on this journey of climate change together, right? So if you haven't found your city, your country, your issue yet, you will. It's coming. There were only a certain number that we could do in the first season, and now in the second season, which is already in production. And so we're just looking at the issues and the places and the stories, like on Law and Order, it's like this was ripped from the headlines. So our desire to make it real and to make it honest and to communicate to children and their families in a way that's not disrespectful, or and really says, here's the issue, and we trust that if we explain it to you, that you'll be able to go along on the adventure with us. And I think that's part of why this thing has become such an extraordinary success globally.
It is a very earnest and honest effort. And behind that honesty, there's a lot of research, I'm sure, as well, because you were talking about how large the meteorology team and everything like that is. So,
Yes.
what can you tell us about the all the different work and research that's gone behind this?
Part of what's extraordinary about the team is Luigi had this idea, right? But this idea came from the fact that he works with these meteorologists, so we have access to a world of knowledge that you just never see in the structure of a show. Because usually, a kid's series, and I don't want to group every kids show this way. The majority of children's shows are about don't judge a book by its cover, right? It's about, you know, a bunny or or a giraffe or whatever it is. And it's not that they're bad. Those shows are fantastic. I love them. I love the fantasy of it. But you want to immerse the story into a real world with really well developed characters, and they do that incredibly well. But it's also the psychology behind the show to make sure that what we're saying to children they can understand and appreciate, and that we're speaking to them in an honest and respectful way. And that's a big part of the show's success, and why kids are like, I'm this one, I love Pluvia, I'm Fullman. Like they truly identify with the characters. And if you knew how many pictures we have of kids who are having their birthday cakes made, or are making their own costumes and, just running around their houses, determined to save the planet. So it's awesome. It's exactly what you want as a creator of content.
That's so heartwarming. I love that so much.
And so true.
Absolutely. I spoke with Luigi Latini earlier, and I learned about how the creation of MeteoHeroes was quite a team effort, and you've only said a lot more about that. It's all in the collaboration. So, how did the amount of teamwork and time you spent with the team? How did you grow from that personally?
Every project I take on, I somehow I grow from them, because the projects that I like to do are the ones that pave new paths, right? So I'm interested in the world's first interactive feature film, right? I'm interested in shows that we can change the world through storytelling, and each project has a purpose. And so in this case, with this show, it's even just learning what proper recycling is. It's like I have to, because now you got to walk the walk. I can't be a dude that uses, individual plastic serving things. I've got to carry my own fork and metal straw with me, So I find that this growth is way more important, because what I've learned is that my actions affect other people's, and now my actions affect the planet as well.
Definitely. I think, yeah, the show does give you that sense of self-awareness and kind of like, what am I doing to help, with this issue? And I mean, I like that there are some kind of actionable items, in every episode, which is nice. So what's a major hurdle that you overcame in the creation of MeteoHeroes?
The truth is, there haven't been any major hurdles until this moment now, because what we're trying to do is to create a bigger, broader series. So the animated elements and the characters as you know them, they will never change because they're so great. But is there a live action component to this? And what does it look like? How do we really take what we're seeing on the screen and make it and make it even more real? How do we get you into the world as a viewer, right? And make you a participant? And that's the hurdle. But it's not that anybody's challenging the idea. It's the challenge of the idea is the hurdle, right? And we're deciphering it literally as we speak.
I see we're getting a lot of audience questions, so I'll give you my last question and then we can shift over. So this is a film festival hosted by the University of Hawaii, one of our older partners. So what do you hope that Hawaiian audiences will take away from watching this show?
What I understand I'm not going to really answer your question, because I need everyone that's watching this show to understand there is no difference whether you're a Hawaiian audience, you're a New York audience, you're an audience in China or Russia or wherever you live, right? What I want you to take away from this show is that you don't need to wear a cape to be a superhero, that you yourself have the power to change the world, and that if nothing else, if you're feeling despair that the world is coming to an end, there's hope, because you can make the difference yourself. And if you can convince one person and they convince one person, then you will make all the difference and change the world. And that's the mission of the show. It's my personal crusade, and that's why we're all in alignment with each other.
Wonderful. I see we're getting a lot of questions from the audience about the plans for Meteor Heroes in the US and in North America.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about that. When can we look for Meteor Heroes to appear in the US, and will there be any outreach materials for kids, parents, and teachers?
Yes, yes, and yes. Okay. So, but I'll be a little bit more, I'll elaborate a little for you. So there's a plan right now that there's a special that's going to go on public television for Earth Day, right? So that's coming April 22nd. And there's this series that I'm telling you about now is planned and slated to be ready in late summer or the beginning of fall. So you should see the Meteor Heroes with great regularity by then. But there are a lot of plans between now and then, so you'll see a great deal more of them. But as far as a regular viewing experience, you should have that by late summer, early fall.
That's exciting. And yes, there is you said there was scientific experience behind the expertise behind the show, correct?
Yes, yes. In fact, we don't put out anything that we don't have the ability to back up and support. Like there's a reason for each episode and every piece of science we put out there.
And we have another question, which I'm personally interested in. Will there be more episodes that take place in Hawaii or the South Pacific?
What I will tell you is stay tuned. Okay.
Okay.
But there will be more episodes that will directly relate to your life. Okay, that I can tell you. But I don't want to give away I don't
Sure.
want to farm today.
Good marketing, man.
Yeah,
You leave us on cliffhangers.
yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting question. Have you experienced any resistance from those who see climate advocacy as reducing profits, or from climate deniers? And how do you keep the program from becoming too political? I mean, it's for kids.
I'm going to tell you that I'll answer it this way. When I brought the Teletubbies, when we were working on the show and when it was finally time to bring it to America, there was a small group of people that were making a lot of crazy noise about young children shouldn't watch television. And I took the position that said, because we did a lot of research, and 92% of parents in America were giving their kids an hour of television a day. And I said, if you're going to give your kid television, that should be your choice. But we as creators of content should give you a choice. Do you want something that's age appropriate or not? So we chose to create an age appropriate show and said, we're not going to tell the caregiver how to raise their children, right? We're in the same world right now. 90% of America believes that climate change is real. And there are 10% of people out there who might want to make something political out of it. They've made politics out of whether you get a COVID shot or get a mask. And, there'll always be somebody that will want to create politics. What we want to do is to create the moment. If you decide you want to educate your children about climate change, I want to make sure there's something there for you to give them climate change education, right? If your children are experiencing anxiety because of it, the medium of television should be more than entertainment. It should be able to educate. It should be able to create a community. It should be able to bring us together. And I believe this issue is the issue that could bring the globe together instead of us fighting about things that really aren't reasonable to fight with. Will it be political? It could be. And if it is, we'll navigate through it the way we have so many other projects. But when you create a show where you're creating a new path, you're going to get people who are going to react to it in a different way. And, reason and science should dictate how we move forward. And that's the way we're doing it with the show.
Thank you for that. And here's a question from Margaret, which is a very, very interesting one. How do you balance entertaining and educating kids through media? This kind of goes off of what we were just talking about.
Well, it's a great question, Margaret, and thank you. The answer is humor. Okay, you can do a great deal of stuff through humor, and this show, it's not a preachy show. It's not a show that you feel you're in school, right? And if it were in school, and I hope it is in school because that's part of my plan, is that it's going to be the best half hour you have in school. Because, you get to laugh and you get to see hope and you get to actually learn something, right? So all of those things together, it's not that there's a formula that says 10% should be this, 8% should be this. It's the through line of humor is what works best in trying to entertain and educate.
And I see that we have a sweet comment from Michael here. Not a question, but a comment. Finally, programming that addresses climate change for kids and parents. Well done. Yes, round of applause for that.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that.
Now, this is an important one from Alan. Are there plans to increase the diversity of the superheroes, or I should say, of the MeteoHeroes?
Heroes. There's a great deal of diversity in the show, and as the project rolls out more and more, you'll understand. But diversity was a very important thing to us, and there's room in the series for things to happen, and I don't want to give that surprise away. But Alan, I do want to say very definitively that I'm very aware of the diversity issue. When the publishing effort starts to roll out for this project, you'll really understand the backstory of these characters and how diverse their backgrounds really are in terms of race, size, everything you can think of. It's in there. It's part of what has me super excited about the show. When I said earlier that what I love about the show is that the characters aren't just one-dimensional, that's really what I was referring to. And I knew someone was going to ask me this question, so I just held back. But that's you'll see as the publishing rolls out and as more information rolls out about the curriculum and things for the show, you'll see how broad and diverse the series actually is.
And I do like that, the MeteoHeroes come from all different continents and from all different backgrounds, but they all share like a similar conviction to help the environment. I think that it's a positive message to push out for kids especially. Alrighty, let's see. Here's one from Michael. How do you balance what is clearly scary at times with solutions to keep content positive for children?
Michael, it's a tricky question. It's a great question, tricky answer. What we want to do is be real. We want to be honest with kids. We don't want to terrify kids. We want to make sure that every episode has hope in it. But if you don't, if you're not honest, if you try to sugarcoat it, if you try to tell them that climate change isn't bad, or you don't really achieve what you're setting out to achieve, So I think we've done a really awesome balance with trying to keep it fun, keep it funny, keep it educational, and make sure the kids realize that it's real and it's serious and that they can help change it, help change the future. So I hope that answers what you asked.
Thank you for that. Yeah. And here's a highly requested one from Margaret. Is there anything that you can tell us about your BlackJack project?
Yeah. Thank you for asking, Margaret. BlackJack is a passion project for me, and it's like MeteoHeroes. There's a real need for this show. It's about a Black protagonist who lives in the 1930s. He has nothing but his brain and his brawn. There's no NAACP, there are no computers, no brainiacs, just this guy who gets hired to do these extraordinary jobs, right? Just brilliant, brilliant jobs out in the world where he is doing his own to save the world, right? And when he's in another country, he's treated like royalty. But when he comes home in the 1930s to his brownstone in New York, he's not allowed to drink out of a public water faucet. And I found something about that character so extraordinary, and his story and his journey, that I was quite committed to bring that story to life. So they're two very, very different projects, but two projects I have great passion for, and we focused on this first because I'm very concerned about the anxiety that young children are experiencing. And I wanted this series to do what it's doing to try to help calm some of those fears and concerns.
And I think that also answers another question that we had, which is, what effect do you want the characters to have on viewers? Anything else you want to add about that?
I think if as a creator of content for kids, if you could do anything to make their world less mysterious and more magical, if you could do anything that makes them less powerless and more powerful, then you've done something extraordinary. And it's part of why this show is just so special, is that it really does check off all those boxes for me.
Making them feel less powerless and more powerful. I love that. That's
Yeah.
such a nice line.
Feel free. It's copyrighted, but as long as I'm just kidding. Feel free to use it whenever it suits you.
So here's a personal question of mine, which is, you've worked on, projects like Noddy, Eloise, Teletubbies, Thomas the Tank Engine, so many others, and they were all smash successes. So and you had an amazing repertoire. So how is this project different for you from everything else?
Um, every project that I do, I did for a reason, right? What reason is bigger than helping kids save the planet? you know and I don't think it's because I'm in this moment right now that I'm saying this to you. I don't think I've ever had a more important project than this, because it's like I say, it wasn't created in a laboratory. It was created out in the streets. It was created based on what was really going on in the world, and we tried to create a space that is real, that with characters that are real and friends that you can rely on. And so it's for all those reasons. I think this is the one that I will hold most dear at the end of it all.
I love that. And I think this is a good lead in for us to another question, which is, why is climate change such an important topic for children? We've talked a lot about this over the past 25 minutes, but is there anything you'd say specifically for kids why it's really important to raise awareness about the climate?
I don't think that's the right question. I'm going to answer the question, but I'm going to interpret the question slightly differently.
Sure.
We live in a very different world today than even when you were born, right? We live in a very different world from when I was born, right? But right now, children have access to screens, multiple screens, that are chirping and chiming and screaming at them constantly. And they are experiencing climate change as children, but no one's communicating with them about it. And they're suffering this anxiety because they have all these beeps and buzzing things going off, telling them that climate change is a devastation, and there's another tornado, there's another this, and no one's talking with them on a level that they can understand and help them process this information. And we think that because a child is 6 or 5 or younger, that they don't actually understand what's going on in the world, but what they do. And what they're doing is picking up emotional cues from the adults in their lives, who are also extremely anxious about what's going on this earth. So creating a show like this where children can actually educate their adults, where we can flip that model, is extraordinary to me, and something I'm super excited about. I think that's what's being asked.
Yeah, I think so as well. And yeah, I think it is a very unique project, as we've been saying, for a variety of reasons. And I think it is a very important topic for us to talk about, and on a level that kids will understand as well, and will be able to resonate with even beyond understanding it.
Yeah.
Let's take one more question. Here's one from Anne. Are there any other projects that you're working on currently besides those mentioned? Any passion projects?
Yes. Yeah, I don't want to lose focus about this conversation.
Sure.
I will tell you about one other project that I'm particularly keen on right now, and it's kind of a mind-blowing fact I'm going to tell you. So, remember I said to you, I like working with creators from across the globe. I don't care where they are, because I don't think children's shows should have borders. I think we should be collaborating and creating great, happy worlds for kids, right? So there's another project I'm executive producing based out of with Russian creators, which at this moment has 10,400,000,000 views on YouTube.
Wow.
It's in Russian language, and we have 700 million views in America, although we only have 5.5 million people in America that speak Russian. So it says something about the popularity of this character, and it says something about what I'm trying to achieve, which is working with global partners to create these really global moments about working together, being together, and finding hope. So it's but if we circle back to MeteoHeroes, I think the message of this show is the most unique message of any project that I've worked on in more than a decade, because of the power of the message and its ability to help heal.
Well, thank you so much for that. And that is a wrap. Mr. Viselman, thank you so
Let
much
me
for speaking today.
let me say one thing to
Sure.
you first, Eshaan, if you don't mind. So what I spoke with my team, and what's happening is next Monday, a week from tomorrow, is the MeteoHeroes Sony PlayStation game is coming out.
Oh, wow.
Right, which is pretty awesome. And so what we decided to do is the first 18 people who go to MeteoHeroes.com now, right, will get a free version of that video game a week before it gets released to the public.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so it's pretty awesome. So it's MeteoHeroes.com, and the first 18 people that go will get a free game, but it's only for the first 18. Okay,
All
I
right.
just wanted to share that with you. I'd like to say one other thing to you, right? There's a reason why I chose this film festival to launch this project, right? And I know that if Margarita Rita could say, other than what she's typing on the screen to me, if she could say something, she would say that you personally and this group at Kids First are, and they exemplify exactly what MeteoHeroes is designed to do, right? Is to show children that they can stand up and make a difference and change the world. And that's why I've support Kids First for years. And I'm I don't know you, and I'm incredibly proud of you that you meet those standards, and you'd make a great MeteoHero yourself. So I just really want to share that with you.
Thank you so much. And yeah, we're very grateful that you chose the Kids First University of Hawaii at Manoa Outreach College Film Festival to promote Meteor Heroes, that it's such a unique and wonderful series. And yeah, wishing you all the best.
Thank you. It's super kind. Thank you. And same to you.
It's been such a pleasure to learn more about Meteor Heroes from you and your colleagues. And yeah, we certainly wish you all the best in bringing Meteor Heroes to North American audiences and beyond. Leaving you in mystery, like you were saying, for what is to come. Looking forward to hearing more about that. And thank you to Kids First and University of Hawaii at Manoa Outreach College for organizing today's interview and the entire festival. And thank you, audience members, very active, wonderful audience members, for watching. I'm Eshaan Mani from Kids First, signing off. Mahalo.
Thank you.